You've got your new land for your homestead and you're wondering, do I need a tractor? Or you may have decided you are going to get a tractor and you're trying to decide which one to get. Hopefully this video will help you decide that. So here are a few things to consider before you go out and get that compact or subcompact tractor for your new homestead. Is your land already ready for you to put a garden on it, put a chicken coop on it? If it doesn't need a lot of work, well, it may not be a good idea to go ahead and get that tractor. Some things can be done with just a riding lawnmower and a utility trailer and a shovel, especially if you're a little bit younger. Now, obviously, the younger you are and the better shape you are, the more you can do manual labor. When we first got this homestead, we actually did start with a tractor, but we started with the small tractor and did a lot of the work ourselves by hand and used this tractor to grade it out with the box blade. So if there's not any major things to do, not any major land to clear, you might want to hold off on a tractor. Another thing to consider is, do you have a big pasture that needs to be bush hogged? If you've got a lot of land and got an open pasture that is going to be bush hogged, you'll probably want to get a tractor. The other thing to consider is the obvious, which is finances. If you do have the money and you know you're going to expand, then maybe you would want to get a tractor. But if you really need to hold off on finances, then maybe you can wait and find other alternatives. You could get a friend to come disc up your garden, get a friend, or hire somebody to come do some bush hogging and clearing your land, especially if you don't have a lot to clear. When do you just not need a tractor? If you've got your new land and all you're going to do on it is put like a raised bed garden on it at first, then I probably would wait on a tractor, especially if the land is cleared off where you're going to put that raised bed garden. Now, one thing those front end loaders help with is really loading up those container gardens. If you can get some mulch delivered, you can scoop it up and just dump it in there. But you could also use a utility trailer on the back of a riding lawnmower, or do what we used to do, and that's just get a wheelbarrow and push it along and shovel it in. Another thing when you just do not need a tractor is just when you really can't afford it. Now, even if you can afford the monthly payments, remember that that tractor is going to have maintenance. You're going to have to change the oil, you're going to have to change the fluids, you're going to have a good place to store the tractor. There's going to be expenses that go along with it, and then also, if you get a new tractor, after that warranty goes out, you're going to have to pay the maintenance on it. Or if you get a used tractor, you're going to have to pay the maintenance starting from day one on that usually. Another thing about budget is the initial cost of the tractor. Even if you're getting a used tractor, tractors just really seem to hold their value well, and tractors can go anywhere from $5,000 on up. And you've got to remember those implements and attachments that go on the back of the tractors. They're not cheap either. Another thing to think about is if you have any HOA restrictions. I know we might have a few homesteaders that are just starting out that are still in the HOA. You might have some restrictions about if you can have a tractor there or the noise ordinance. So that's something else to think about. So when do you need a tractor? Well, if you've got a lot of land to clear and you're going to have a lot of help to move these old logs. Now, they can be done by hand if you just cut them up individually. But the older you get, the less you want to do that. They really make the job easier, and it's kind of a multiplier for you. What you could do in a whole weekend, a tractor could help you do in just a few hours. Another thing is if you've got a big garden, you got to disc the whole garden and plow the whole garden. Well, a tractor could help you do that also. And up north, if you've got a lot of snow removal, a tractor could help you there. Do you have any building projects coming up? We've used ours a lot on our building projects. We've used our tractors to clear off land, to build the driveway, to clear off for the shop. They've really come in handy, and it did save from us having to get somebody else in to do all of that. So if you've got some building projects, that's another thing to consider in a tractor. Another thing is, if you're not in the best physical shape, like me, or you're getting older, a tractor could help you a lot. Okay, so the next thing you need to do, if you've decided, yes, I am going to get a tractor, what size should you get? Your dealer could help you decide this also, and get a few opinions as you do this. Now this is a small subcompact tractor. This Pratt tractor is probably good for somebody that's probably got 10 acres or under. And of course, depending on what you have. This does not have a front end loader, but there was one available for it. This is a 17 horsepower, but it does have the Category 1 3-point hitch. And you would really be surprised at what this little tractor can do. We have disked our garden every single year. We've also used the bush hog on it to cut pretty well everywhere we had. This has got a PTO on it. We've also used it for clearing and smoothing out land with the box blade. So don't let these little tractors fool you. These can do a lot of work. Another advantage of these little tractors, they will go forever on a tank of diesel. And we got this tractor used. This was around $5,000 with the tractor. It's about a 1982 model, I think, somewhere around that. And we've got a few attachments. We got a bush hog, a few blades, and a disc for the garden. So we got a few things for it. And I think we got a pretty good deal on it because this tractor really is in pretty good shape. Now this tractor is brand new. We've only had it for a few weeks. It's the L4802 and it's got the LA766 loader on it. I think this will pick up somewhere around 1,600 pounds and it's a pretty powerful tractor. Now this tractor is probably meant for people that have up to probably 10 to 50 acres of land. If you're going to need some bush hogging for a big field, or if you're going to be clearing out a good bit of land, this tractor may be good for you. You don't have to buy a new one though if there's another one available. The only thing is if you get a fairly, a few-year-old tractor, they're not much difference in price than a new tractor. One thing to consider is this thing has the emission stuff on it, which the other tractors don't. The other tractors don't have a computer on them, so I don't have to worry about the computer going bad. They either run or they don't. So if you have a homestead, you've got a lot of land, probably 50 acres or less, which we have right at 50 acres. This tractor probably would be about the right size, especially if you've got some land you need to clear off, or if you've got a lot of bush hogging you need to do. Okay, now the next one, this is a really big tractor. This is an industrial tractor. I believe this tractor is a 1975 model, and this is one tough tractor. You back into a tree, you're not gonna bend this tractor. This tractor, the loader is rated for around 5,000 pounds. I would never wanna pick up 5,000 pounds with this thing, but it's 5,000 pounds. Now this is a 61 horsepower. It does need a little work. Of course, the thing is 50 years old, but this tractor is tough, and the disadvantage of this tractor is it's only a two-wheel drive. It also does not have a PTO. So this tractor is really good for lifting or doing a lot of dirt work. But I'm trying to give you an example of the size of the tractor. This would be a tractor, if you bought this new four-wheel drive with a PTO, you would probably want that for some larger tracts of land. Now, an advantage of these old tractors, they don't have all that emission stuff. Not a lot to go wrong on these. Of course, you have hydraulic hoses busting. You've got leaks on the hydraulics, but you're not gonna have a computer chip go bad in this thing. And you're not gonna have that expensive muffler go bad in this thing either. Okay, now the next thing you wanna look at is four-wheel drive. Whether it's a small tractor or a big tractor, normally you're gonna have that option. I think in any case, I would probably get a four-wheel drive tractor. Our bigger tractor I just showed you, it's a two-wheel drive. It's got a lot of power, but imagine the power it would have if it had a four-wheel drive. This little tractor's got four-wheel drive, and I actually use it in four-wheel drive a lot. This new tractor's got four-wheel drive also. Another thing about when you get ready to choose a tractor, the tires, you're going to want to get the tires that are appropriate for the job you're doing. If you're doing a lot of stuff on a nice lawn, you're not going to want these agricultural tires. You're going to want some with some grip to it, but you're not going to want those that tear up your yard like these. These will tear up our yard. We live out in the country, so we really don't care about that. All right, now another big thing is you want to decide whether you want to go used or new. Now, a lot of times you can find a really good tractor that is used, get a good deal on it if you can find a person wanting to sell it. Sometimes those used tractors are almost as much as these new tractors. Now, the reason we went with a new tractor We have used tractors, and I wanted one, at least one, that was ready to go every time that I wanted to. Disadvantage with the used tractor, especially the older you get, the more problems, the more maintenance you're gonna have on it. So if you're gonna save a lot of money by getting a used tractor, remember, you might have to put some money in it to fix some things up. The fuel injectors need working on sometimes, the hydraulic hoses, things like that. You're gonna have to budget for that if you get a used tractor. Now, a new tractor, one of the things is you can finance those. Some of the used tractors, I think you can finance them also. Another thing I really like about this new tractor, it does have some better safety features. I know for me, when I'm working in a dangerous spot, I wear that seat belt. And these others do not have a seat belt that are working, and that can be a little dangerous because you can get hurt or worse on a tractor. Other advantage on this tractor being new, I know the maintenance. I'll keep up with the maintenance. I know what's been done. If you are looking at getting a used tractor, try to get it from somebody that you know has maintained that tractor. Somebody that maybe kept a logbook of the oil changes, the hydraulic fluid changes and filter changes, all the maintenance. Try to get one that you've got a logbook on that. Now, when choosing a brand, you have people that love John Deere and think Kubota is horrible. You have people that love Kubota, think John Deere's horrible. And there's so many other brands now that are coming out. Here's the way I would choose a brand. I made sure that I got a brand from a dealer that I trust, and more importantly, a dealer that has a really good service department. This tractor came from about 30 miles away, and their service department has a very good reputation, so I know I can just come have them pick it up and service it, and they'll take care of it. Now, another thing to make sure, I think most tractors have these, make sure it has a PTO shaft to hook up a bush hog. The Massey Ferguson that we have does not have a PTO shaft, but it's one of the rare ones. I don't see many tractors that don't, but you do want to make sure you have one of those because you will want to use that at some point. Even this little tractor has it. Another thing you're going to want to budget for when you're getting a tractor, whether it's new or used, is the implements that go on the back, the attachments like a bush hog, a blade that goes on the back, a box blade, or disc to disc up the garden. Those things get expensive. What you'll probably want to do is figure out what you're going to use that tractor for the most, get that implement first, and then later on get another one, and just start getting them as you go, because those things, they can run up and cost just about as much as the tractor in the end. Now, if you're deciding on getting a used tractor, let me suggest something to you. Take somebody with you that knows about engines, and I think in most cases they're diesel, so take somebody that knows about diesel that can look that thing over. And even if you're going shopping for a new tractor, what I would suggest is find an older guy that has been on a tractor forever. Another thing you're going to want to decide is what kind of transmission you want. Do you want the Hydrostat? That's where you just punch the pedals and it goes forward or reverse. Or if you want the gear drive. Now, this new one is a gear drive. Most people really get the Hydrostat because they don't want to shift gears, mess with the clutch and stuff. Also, if you're getting one of those small tractors and maybe your wife's going to use it to move some stuff around, different people in the family, you may want to consider one of the Hydrostats to make it a little easier for them to drive around and move things around with it. Number one, choosing the wrong size tractor. Now, you can get a tractor that is way too big for what you need. Your fuel efficiency goes down. You're going to use a lot of fuel. Your maintenance goes up. And if you don't need that big tractor, then don't get a really big tractor. On the other hand, if you plan on doing a lot, don't get too small of a tractor. If you're going to be lifting some heavy stuff, you may want to consider a little bit bigger tractor with a little bit bigger loader. That's why we went with this Kubota behind us, because we were going to lift some logs. But if you're not going to be lifting a lot, you might want to just stick with a smaller tractor. The next mistake people make is not knowing the true cost of owning a tractor. These things are expensive. You can have things happen, like if you puncture a tire, that's going to be really expensive. Also, you've got your normal oil changes, your maintenance on it. You need to always calculate that in. So if you're getting a tractor, those monthly payments aren't the only thing you're going to have. Another mistake people make is buying the wrong type of tractor. A lawnmower was not really made for doing some heavy work. Those little garden tractors, they have their limitations. Next is not testing it before you buy it, especially if you're getting a used tractor. You want to drive that tractor around, like I said earlier, get you a mechanic to go through that and look at it, and that way you know really what you're getting into. When you're choosing the brand, earlier I said choose the dealer. Make sure that even if it is a dealer locally, if it's a overseas made tractor, you might have some parts that will be hard to get. You want to make sure you get a tractor that you can get parts easy, get service easy, and that it's efficient to maintain. So, do you really need a tractor for your homestead? You're the one that's going to have to decide that. I do suggest if you're seriously considering it, find a dealer that you trust, go talk to that dealer, tell them what you want to do, and let them help you decide what tractor you want or what size you want. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. I tried to show you what we use these tractors for on our homestead, and if you're building a homestead, they sure do come in handy. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.